Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another great episode of On Air with Pierre. Today we have an exclusive interview with Angela Raub of Leadercast, the company who flew down from Atlanta to talk to us in exclusive on Air with Pierre. We're also talking with Lindsay Flagan of Macaroni Kid, League City, and Clear Lake. We also have Hart of the Houston Whiskey Social. We're going to be giving away a pair of tickets, so stick around because you don't want to miss this. And then we also have Dr. Peter Wuenschel of Communities and Schools Bay Area and Hillary Gramm as well from the great organization. All of this and more on today's episode of On Air with Pierre. And we thank you for joining us today. We have a great show planned for you today. And I want to take this moment also to talk about the great news that we received this morning. As you know, we had a terrible chemical plant fire that happened in Deer Park, Texas. And as of this morning, they were able to fully extinguish the fire. And so that's definitely some good news to talk about. And we are going to talk about an exclusive interview that we had with Angela Raub of Leadercast. As you know, Leadercast Clear Lake is an event that we develop and produce every single year. This will be our 5th year to produce the event. And we're very excited to be bringing the event to Star Cinema Grill for Leadercast Clear Lake and a brand new site, Leadercast Galveston County, that will take place at Abundant Life Christian Center off 45 and Delaney in Galveston County. So we're excited about those two events. And of course, a couple of weeks ago, we had the opportunity to have Angela come down from Atlanta and spoke to us in exclusive with On Air with Pierre with this great interview. Let's go and take a look. Okay, so we are here with Angela Raub, who is the president of Leadercast. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, Angela.
Thank you for having me. Of course, when I come to Houston, I have to see you.
Yes, and you came from Atlanta.
I know.
Right. How's the weather up there?
Today was a beautiful day, and I get here, and it's kind of, a little.
You brought some rain, I think.
I think I did.
Uh-oh.
But I get your sunshine, so it all
there
sets
you go.
it all.
Perfect. So, Angela, tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to be a leader within the Leadercast organization.
Great question. I tell people all the time, and probably why I should hire you as a publicist, but I would describe my background as a professional mutt, meaning that I've tried different things.
Okay.
I'm a chronic learner, and so that's boded me very well. So from working on Wall Street to raising money and working in higher education. But where my true passion is about, I've always aspired to be a servant leader in any capacity. So as a fan of Leadercast over 7 years ago, 3 years ago, I received a phone call from Leadercast asking if I was looking at any opportunities.
Sure.
And so for the first time in my career, I've now received 2 positions at Leadercast that I did not apply for. And it's been the best season of my life. So I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm passionate about our brand. I'm passionate about people like yourself in our community. I love to go to work every day.
Nice. So Leadercast has been around for how many years?
We are an 18-year-old company.
Wow.
And so we're well established, but we are still a teenager, Pierre. So I tell people that we are still growing into this beautiful adult, and we're getting there. And it's only, again, through people that are in our community like yourself that are helping us to do that.
Now, 18 years, but I mean, in that process, in that journey, there's been a lot of things that you guys have evolved into and learned, and I think that's part of what has allowed you to execute an event that has world-class leadership experts, right, that are on the stage sharing their journey. And what are some of the top favorite speakers that you've been able to see come across the stage at Leadercast?
For myself, all of our speakers are my favorite speaker, but there are a few. Actually, I credit Angela Ahrens, who was actually the CEO of Burberry at the time, and now she's SVP over marketing with Apple.
Okay.
Another Hoosier girl. But she is one that was on our stage, and she spoke into my life at a critical time and was just a game changer. Andy Stanley's always a favorite.
Andy Stanley, my gosh. So he typically opens the conference every year.
He does.
And I will share with you, we have folks that come and stop us after his speech and say, thank you so much for producing the event. And it's right after Andy Stanley. And so I think that just speaks volumes about the caliber of Andy Stanley's message.
I would agree with you, and I think the thing that Andy does such an incredible job is just consistency of messaging, and that's why his organization has done so well. So when he talks about purpose and clarity of our mission, he's the real deal. And I think that on an annual basis that people just want that reminder, because we're all seeking that. And I think a lot of people, to your point, Pierre, come there because they want someone to re-anchor them, to just make sure that, yes, I get that, and that's how I need to readjust both myself personally and professionally.
Absolutely. So when we think about leadership, what do you think are some important traits of a good leader?
I think first and foremost, I think you and I are both very passionate about this in our friendship. We've talked about it, but authenticity.
Yeah.
I think that you could be the best actor in the world, but who you are and your values and your behaviors that no one sees, people see that.
Absolutely.
And so I think just that authentic character, and again, that leads into then transparency.
Absolutely.
And I think not being scared to be honest, because people really will respect you more if you have maybe a message they don't want to hear, but if you're just upfront with it, by showing someone greater respect of being honest with them, it will actually bode you greater returns than not being honest.
And I love that you talk about authenticity because, coming from the marketing and event branding space, for me, as a marketing professional, a lot of times we're looking for ways to angle something, to say something, to create a logo that says something, and so I think when we talk about leadership, you're 100% right. Being authentic in that ultimately allows you to build a brand that people gravitate, and you want to make sure that you're authentic with that conversation, because you want to gravitate and attract the right type of energy, the right type of people. And when you're not committed to that sense of authenticity, you end up attracting what you are not, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's interesting because I look at two different junctures in my career. One time when the economy was booming and I was making money hand over fist, but working for someone that necessarily wasn't transparent or authentic. And from that, Pierre, even though I was making a ton of money, I wasn't happy because the leadership was not aligned with what I thought the mission of the organization was.
Sure.
And so for me, that was a really just priceless lesson in life to learn as a leader. And so and then I've worked in a transformation, and it was so hard and so many hours, but I loved the leader that I was like, whatever war you want us to go in today, I'm down, absolutely. I'm in. And so those are why that behavior and that authenticity, it's a driver to make that team behind you. You don't even need to turn around, because with that, it is a vacuum of just people saying, I got to follow that.
Absolutely. And I would tell you that within the leadership at the organization that you now lead, at that point you were involved in an organization not as the president and CEO. And so to me, I felt like the culture of the organization had that vision that I really bought into. And so when you were able to come in and take that, I remained as a big fan of the company, because I felt like the vision that you guys have, which is to build leaders worth following, right? I think that's such a powerful vision, and it's definitely our sincere hope that as we continue on this journey, we're able to bring a quality experience that really adds value to the people that attend the event, not just at your site, but also at the sites all over the world. And obviously our sites.
Exactly, and you do such a fantastic job. We cannot thank you enough. You're going on 5 years.
Yes, this is going to be our 5th year.
Happy anniversary.
Yay! We got a 5th year anniversary to celebrate, and I think we're going to have a lot of amazing things to be bringing to our community, and I think that's going to be an important part of our culture as a company. And I can't think of a better organization to be partners with than with Leadercast, and particularly with you at the helm of the organization.
Thank you very much.
So thank you so much for spending some time here talking with us in exclusive for On Air with Pierre, and we hope to be able to, next time you're in Houston, get you back in on the show and get you to come and hang out with us again.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pierre. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Every meeting and group event deserves to be at South Shore Harbor Resort. From extravagant to intimate, trust us to make your next business event a success. Perfectly located just 30 miles south of Houston, South Shore Harbor Resort is the largest full-service waterside resort in Southeast Texas. Mixing business with pleasure has its benefits. Our executive chef has created a delicious menu full of the best local ingredients. With upscale, casual, and poolside dining options, there is something for every appetite. Business has never been easier with such amazing choice of meeting spaces that provide a relaxed waterfront setting. Our state-of-the-art amphitheater is perfect for delivering a winning presentation. Swim, float, or paddle up to the poolside bar and enjoy the sun in our amazing 185-foot tropical oasis pool. Or take your time and lounge around in one of the beautiful private cabanas. You're going to sleep well in our luxurious, spacious, and airy rooms, furnished with plush bedding and a maritime theme. Business does not have to be all business while conferencing at South Shore Harbor Resort and Conference Center. Memories made here.
Today, yeah. And I have the pleasure of welcoming our first guest. She is the proud owner and producer of Macaroni Kid, League City and Clear Lake. Please help me welcome Lindsay Flagan. So Lindsay, we've known each other for quite some time. We go back to my Chick-fil-A years.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, so that's been like 15. We don't want to date ourselves
not
here.
15.
No, not 15.
No, I've been doing Macaroni Kid for about 9 years.
Okay.
So it's like 9.
So it's no more than 9. Perfect. Lindsay, the first thing I want to start off is by talking about what is Macaroni Kid and how did you get involved with that organization?
Sure. So Macaroni Kid is a email newsletter that I send out every Thursday evening. Sometimes it's Friday morning because I'm a mom, and let's face it, sometimes things don't happen. So
right.
I almost dropped the SH bomb there, but I'm behaving myself today.
Okay.
And then we also have a website where you can find information on everything that's family friendly going on in League City and Clear Lake. So
moms tend to be very busy.
Yes.
And would you say part of what makes a platform like Macaroni Kids successful is the sense of being able to curate stuff, because we're getting inundated with direct mail, with social media, with TV commercials, and so you sort of serve as a curation platform that says, I've already looked through it all.
Yep.
Here's some of the things that I think would be relevant to the moms of the area. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How much work goes into that?
Well, it's a lot of work. And the best thing is when I meet moms on the street and they're like, hey, I saw your article about this. And I'm like, thank God, because I spent 2 hours writing that, and I'm glad someone read it.
Right,
you know?
right.
Compiling events. I do have help from other Macaroni Kid publishers. So,
okay.
For people watching that aren't in the League City, Clear Lake area,
okay.
there's over 500 Macaroni Kids around
wow.
the nation.
Around the nation?
Yes.
Okay.
So, you just go to macaronikid.com and find your local area. But it does, I compile everything for moms at businesses, events.
So your particular license or franchise is made up of how many in your database?
I have over 5,600 moms that get the email newsletter.
Wow.
And then some of you guys don't want email, and that's completely fine. You can just go to the website, leaguecity.macaronikid.com.
Cool.
And then Facebook, I'm very active on Facebook too, so I list everything there. So
great. So if you're
of the
tuning in and
places.
you're one of the Macaroni Kid fans and moms, then definitely let us know in the comment section. We are live once again right here, bringing to you On Air with Pierre. And I think Ashley is watching our feed. Ashley, do we have any moms that are tuning in and saying in and hello?
Come on, mamas.
Yeah? Awesome. Cool. Okay, so they're coming in. Lindsay, the 5,600 is for your area, and then you
Yep.
said there's over 500 nationwide. So publishers.
Yeah.
And so out of those publishers, how many are in Houston, Texas? Kind of how's that divvied up?
I want to say there's about 5 of us in Houston.
Okay.
So there's like a downtown Houston,
Gotcha.
Katy, Southwest. We're very hyper local.
Sure.
Right? So moms that live in League City, they're not always going to want to drive downtown to find
Absolutely.
out what's going on with their kids.
Right.
So I focus on things that are happening right here in town.
Okay. And then, but you have access to be able to cover something that's going on at the zoo, for example, or something going on in the Woodlands,
Yeah.
because it may be something of interest to the moms from League City, right?
Yeah, if it's big enough, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so what are some of your favorite things that you get to cover? Have you ever gotten like Tide Pods, or what kind of stuff do you get sent? That's what I think what some people want to know.
So, yes, I've done work with Tide.
Okay.
I was on their Fabric Care Advisory Board.
Wow.
Which I got to, talk with the folks there at Procter & Gamble on how to keep kids safe. So we don't want kids eating those Tide Pods.
What happened with that?
I don't think people are eating them anymore. I don't think that that craziness is happening.
Right.
Because they haven't really tapped us to do much of that. And I haven't really heard much more about after you never want to do one of those challenges or whatever it is.
The Tide Pod Challenge,
yes,
right?
That's not cool.
Nobody
It's
in the
not
studio
cool.
did the Tide Pod Challenge, right?
They
No.
wouldn't be
Okay,
here.
good.
They wouldn't be here.
But the important thing is that even though a global company like Procter and Gamble is also committed within their strategy to be able to develop something like the advisory board that you're talking about, that brings in super hyper local voice into what
Right.
they're doing,
and real moms.
Yeah,
you
real
know?
moms,
You wanna
absolutely.
Talk to real moms, not fake moms. I don't
Right.
know what fake moms are, but.
And then I also understand that you get sometimes some swag from like movies that are coming out or stuff from Disney. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we just got to review the second Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yes.
So sometimes I get to have little parties, and they send us the DVDs a little bit earlier than they go out on the market.
Okay.
And we what I love to do for those is put together activities for the kids to do while they're watching the movie.
Okay.
So for Wreck-It Ralph, we made little go-karts out of Twinkies. So the Twinkie was the base, and then you put Reese's Pieces for wheels, and let the kids kind of have fun with it, because
Sure.
It's always good to incorporate different avenues, for instead of just sitting there and watching a movie and screen
Right.
time and stuff like that.
So there's a lot of work in terms of putting in the time to curate, all the stuff that's possible in terms of what you could do, and then you take it into the stuff that might be relevant for your fan base or the audience that you're speaking to, and along the way you've gotten to do some fun things.
Yeah.
And so what else do you get to do that you think is this is kind of really cool?
Yeah. I've gone on some press trips.
Okay.
So we just got back from Angel Fire, New Mexico.
Okay.
Where my kids got to ski, and we got to check out a resort that maybe not a lot of people have heard of
Okay.
from here, but it's only really a 13 and a half hour drive from League City. So you can pack up the kids. They're doing a lot of stuff in the summer coming up, and it's a great little resort that I probably would have never gotten the opportunity to even hear of, let alone
Sure.
check out. Another thing I love to do locally is events.
Okay.
So we have our annual Easter egg hunt coming up, which I love. I love it because it's not one of those Easter egg hunts where it's everybody lines up and then all of the kids go, and it's this big mass panic, right? And some kids get 20 eggs and some kids get none, and people are crying. The way we do this, and I think it's brilliant, but we have kids sign up for time slots.
Okay.
So we have a 1:30, which I think is full right now, 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Okay.
And we only let 30 kids in at a time.
Okay.
And we count out the eggs, and they're allowed 10 eggs each.
Gotcha.
Parents can go in and take pictures.
Sure.
You know, it's not this like pandemonium that
Parents
I was.
get very like passionate during
Yes.
like I've had the opportunity, or I don't know if it's maybe not like a good opportunity, but I've seen some parents get like into fights about an Easter egg, you know, and stuff, and it's for their kids, and,
Yes.
and it's crazy.
Yes.
I want to talk very, very, very briefly to get your take, just kind of philosophically speaking, about you know, parents and influence, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's a hot topic right now. So this is a question that I know you weren't thinking I was going to ask you, but we recently heard on the news a scandal of, you know,
scandals.
Aunt Becky from Full House,
Yes.
right? That basically uses her influence, but really money, to do something for her kids. And obviously it's been, you know, heavily criticized, and she's in trouble, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's gonna have to deal with the FBI now. But what's your take on where do we cross the line? And I don't say we, because I'm not a parent, but where do
Yeah.
parents cross that? You know, where are they able to mitigate some of the potential damage when you want to do anything and everything for your kids?
Absolutely.
Where do you draw the line there?
You know, it's funny you should say that, because I absolutely do not agree with what she did.
Sure.
But you can't help but feeling a little bit sorry for her.
Sure,
Because
right.
she was looking in and wanting to help her kid.
Right.
I think where she went wrong and where the line was crossed, though, is you have to allow your children to fail.
Sure.
They have to know what it feels like to fail and how to build yourself back
Right.
up.
Right.
So if there was never an opportunity for her to get a denial letter from a college, or you know, an opportunity to fail, how can you even function in life?
Right.
You know, I mean, as adults, it's not easy. You
Absolutely.
know? And you need to know how to deal with those things. So like, where would she then draw the line?
Right.
She already got her into college. She already got her, you know, are you then going to pay for those grades in that college that you don't belong in?
Sure.
You know, where are you going to pay for the husband that you think that she's supposed to have?
Right,
where,
right.
Where does that line get crossed?
And it's tricky. I think it's tricky because when you involve the emotional aspect of parenting, and your kids are your blood, the lines get blurred real quickly, because
Yes.
it's like, well, the rules kind of, you know, and then you base it off of intent, right? Her intent was to help her kids. It wasn't to damage anybody,
Exactly.
or to take, like I heard a friend say the other day, how many people got denied that were owed that spot on that college because she
Exactly.
paid for her kid to get into. And so that's where it gets tricky, because, you know, it's like, you know, my line basically ends where yours begins, kind of deal.
Exactly.
But we're all as passionate about it, and it's our kids and we love them. And so
Yeah.
I think it's definitely an interesting conversation, even with this situation with the chemical plant that happened here in Deer Park, with the school districts deciding to close school or to not close school, and then all the feedback,
Yep.
of which some of it is very colorful, from parents saying like, you know, you should have closed the school, you shouldn't have closed the school.
Right.
And again, it gets into that sort of line of, where does my passion and commitment to the well-being of my children, the safety of my children, cross over into, you know, legal space and
Right.
ethical space that's questionable, you know. So it's definitely something that's interesting, and, you know, has different multifaceted angles to it.
Yeah, because parents will pay for, you know, SAT classes,
Yep.
right?
Right.
Or you pay for private lessons for
Correct.
baseball or cheer
Or private school.
private school. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that,
Sure,
you know?
sure.
But there are parents that can't afford it. So
Right.
then where is the line where it's fair
Absolutely.
or not fair? So
100%.
you know, I feel like the more I'm getting older, you know, there's no black and white in
Right.
things. There's always this weird gray area.
Right.
Now
When-
she's stepped out of the gray area.
Yes.
But you could almost imagine, if you had the ability, how you would go there
Absolutely.
incrementally in steps
Right.
if you were her.
Right.
You know, but I'm in no way condoning it. So.
If you're just now tuning in, guys, we are talking with Lindsay Flagan of Macaroni Kid in League City. If you want to get connected with Lindsay, how can people get connected with you, Lindsay?
So you can go to my website, www.leaguecity.macaronikid.com.
Okay.
Or my email is Lindsay with an A.
Okay.
F@macaronikid.com.
Perfect. Lindsay, I want to thank you so much for coming to spend some time and talking with us. I'd love to have you back maybe in a month or two to come back and talk to us some more. I know that you've got your Easter egg hunt coming up.
April 7th.
And then we are recently signed on to do some work with South Shore Harbor Resort, which is one of our sponsors for the show event, for the show as well. So a big shout out to them. And we're excited because I think you're planning a Mother's Night Out event or something like that.
Yeah, hopefully by the pool. It'll be a lot of fun.
There you go. So be on the lookout. And of course, you can get connected with us on social media as well at Top Star Events and Entertainment. So both on my social media platforms and Lindsay's, we'll be posting all the information about the Mother's Night event that we're going to be hosting at South Shore Harbor Resort and Conference Center. We're going to take a short commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking with Hart of the Houston Whiskey Social. We're going to be giving away a pair of tickets right here live on the show. So share this event out. Tell your friends. If you're a whiskey lover or if you're not, you can make somebody's day by grabbing a hold of a pair of tickets to the Houston Whiskey Social. We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back. Being in the event and marketing space, looking your best is key. That's why I'm glad to be using the personal styling services of Macy's at Baybrook Mall. The services of Macy's My Stylist are complete and can offer you a personal shopper to guide you through it all. You're going to be getting the latest trends in fashion from the top brands. You'll go through a custom fitting that will allow your stylist to pull a line of options for your review. And the best part is, it's a complimentary service provided by Macy's. That's right, no charge for the service. And if fashionable trends isn't what you're looking for, you can always visit their beauty department for the latest in makeup and fragrances. So don't wait any longer and let a Macy's stylist take your look to the next level. You'll be glad you did. To schedule your appointment, call Michael Haddock at 409-370-3294 or book online at macys.com/mystylist. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I am so excited because I have right here in the studio, he has his own radio show, and he is also the producer of one of the top events here in Houston. Please help me welcome Mr. Hart of Houston Whiskey Social. Chris, thank you for spending some time with me today.
Thanks for having me, man. We're longtime friends.
I'm a little nervous because you've got your own show, and I've had the opportunity to watch your show.
Yeah, I've been watching every time you post some stats, I'm like, oh, dang, I better make sure. If I'm not pulling in Pierre numbers, I better look out.
No. I think, man, if like, I'm like, okay, I got to make sure that I like say everything right and, speak as smoothly as you do. And so, but, you and I actually go way back. To high school?
17 years? 15
17
years? Something
years.
I've known you quite some time, back when you were bossing me around in ROTC.
So for our viewers, we just dropped a bombshell that you may not have ever found out until Chris actually just revealed it for the whole world to know, is that in high school, I was in ROTC, junior ROTC, and I got to tell you, when I tell that story to folks that I meet along the way, that I've met along the way, I mean, their jaw just kind of like, what? Like you, Pierre, the guy that's like crazy creative and loud and stuff, were in a military style type program.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, we not only had great mentors within that program, Major Lieutenant Sergeant Glennon, but also just a great infrastructure that I think we needed in our high school, days. And
discipline's important.
Discipline is important, and I think a lot of the things that we were able to learn, we carried over. At least I know I did.
Sure.
I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I learned. I don't have my keys on me, but I still have my push-up key ring that you got for doing 50 push-ups at lunch. I mean, I still to this day, there's a lot of that youth.
The scariest words to come out of somebody in leadership was the word drop, right? And so and I remember we used to kind of get tricked sometimes by they would ask us a very casual question and we couldn't say because you don't answer by saying
right.
In the military you say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. And so
it was bait.
I would get it was bait and be like, hey Pierre, how's it going? You having a good day? Yeah. Drop. Oh man, here we go. And then if I remember correctly, it was like 10 push-ups if you were a freshman, 20 push-ups sophomore, 30 push-ups.
Yeah.
And then if you were a certain rank, there was an additional 10, and
they really
you could end up being like doing 50 push-ups for saying yeah.
It's a long time ago, man.
So Chris, you've 17 years. What has Chris been up to the last 17 years? Give me in a bit of a nutshell.
I host a show on ESPN 97.5 called Whiskey Neat. You can watch it. It airs on Saturdays. Of course, we release all the episodes online on Fridays, so you can check everything out on mywhiskeyneat.com. People say, why My Whiskey Neat? It's because I like my whiskey neat.
Okay. And so just to clarify, Whiskey Neat is the
radio
whiskey.
Show.
It's a radio show, but for the actual whiskey itself,
sure.
The drink, it is just with no ice.
So Whiskey Neat is just straight, straight
right.
from the bottle, no water, no ice, just neat.
On the rocks would make it
an ice cube.
Okay, gotcha. So Whiskey Neat is how you like your whiskey.
Yeah.
And that drove you to actually produce an event around.
So
this.
it's the other way around. So no, you're right. Actually, me and my wife got into whiskey together. We started producing the Houston Whiskey Social, which is now in its 4th year.
Okay.
So we've done about a half dozen events. We are now up to that. I think we're the largest whiskey event in the state. We do 400 plus whiskeys. We'll have a couple of wines, a couple of other spirits. Because I like to come to these things with my wife, and she may not always want a whiskey, so we'll throw a wine in there or two. But it's mostly whiskeys.
So there is wine and other spirits.
Yeah, there'll be a couple of rums there, a couple of cognacs there.
Okay.
But the main focus is going to be the all-loving brown water spirits. So we get about 1,000 people last year, so we're expecting close to 1,200 this year. It's at the Citadel in Houston. You can get tickets for that at Eventbrite or HoustonWhiskeySocial.com. That's whiskey with an E. And
Citadel Houston. Tell me about the venue.
Yeah, so it looks like a castle. It's this gorgeous venue. It's like 18,000 square feet. It's a massive venue. We're going to pack it from whiskeys from all over the world.
Wow.
And you just come for the evening. It's next Saturday. It's 10 days away. And you can get those tickets online. And it's in fact, I think I was talking to your social media person.
Yeah, Ashley.
We have I'd say probably less than 10 VIP tickets left. Everything else is going to be GA.
Wow.
But it's just I can't legally say it's unlimited booze, but there is no preset amount. It's you can come, enjoy yourself, bring a wife, bring a friend. It's about being social. It's about sitting together and having a few drinks together. And
sure. What if I understand correctly, there's also a nonprofit
that's correct
piece to this event.
It's tied to the Warriors for Freedom Foundation. It's a nonprofit veterans charity that basically helps soldiers acclimate back into society in a lot of social settings, and if that's not an indication, or if that doesn't tie in perfectly,
of course,
what goes better with veterans than cigars and whiskey? So,
yeah.
This year we bought our own private barrel of 4 Roses. We'll be giving away most of it at the event, and we've also got our own private cigar blend that we did with Room 101. So. We partnered with Stogies in Houston, the Warriors for Freedom, and we just try to get as many people out there together just to have a few drinks and a portion of all ticket sales. And you can donate directly to the charity at the event as well. So it's doing it.
Warriors
for 4
for
years now.
Freedom Foundation.
Yep.
And the event takes place next Saturday. So we're 10 days away. 10 days away for our viewers from being able to experience one of the top events. I see on social media and feedback from folks that attend the event, and it's so nice to be able to see. I think when people have a great experience, that they say, "Man, I don't know when this event's going to happen next year, but I'm in."
I reached out to you the second year, and we talked a little bit. I got some of your feedback, some input from Pierre, and it's grown. It's doubled in size since then. It's been very positively received, and it's a bit, you get prideful about it.
Hopefully, our viewers can catch that endorsement right there, huh? You talked to me a couple of years ago, and the event has doubled in size. We're not going to take all the credit for it, but Chris, for the folks that say, well, I don't really know much about whiskey, but I think I'd be interested to learn more. Does it make sense to buy a ticket and attend the event, or to like maybe take some classes or go and have some whiskey and then show up to the event? What does that look like?
That's what this event is about. It's educational in nature.
Okay.
So you can come to the event. It's really slated to be appealing to all experience levels. If you're new to whiskey, if you don't know much about whiskey, we teach you how to drink whiskey properly. We teach you how to experience, to taste, to learn. The event is literally for anyone at any level of experience. So it's something I think lots of new faces show up every year.
Good.
And we get a lot of repeat customers.
And hopefully you guys are making plans to attend the event. If you have not made plans to attend the event, but you're a whiskey lover, what kind of whiskey do you like to drink? And let us know down in the comment section on the live feed. We are coming to you live, and we're talking here with Chris Hart of the Houston Whiskey Social, an event that is coming back in its 4th year, has grown year after year, and takes place. We're 10 days away, and we have a pair of tickets that we want to give away on the show live to somebody that can tell us their favorite whiskey. And what we're going to do is when we say go, we're going to take the 5th person to comment on the Facebook Live feed and tell us what their favorite brand of whiskey is. And then, but we're not saying go yet. So just stick around and make sure and share it. Tell your friends to make sure and go to HoustonWhiskeySocial.com to get their tickets. Tickets are running out, but there's a few VIP tickets available. And then there's also general admission tickets available. How much are the tickets, Chris?
So tickets start off, GA is $80.
Okay.
And that includes food for the night and all the booze you can legally and safely drink.
There you go. And then VIP tickets, which there's very few left.
Very few left. Those are $135.
Okay.
And you get you in an hour earlier and access to a lot of old stuff. Yeah. So we not only do you get in an hour earlier, but we also went back. Because of the type of the event and the location we're doing at, we were able to go back and find stuff that's no longer produced anymore, stuff that's not made anymore. Like we're going to have a bottle of I.W. Harper bourbon from 1965 at the event. So it's not something you can taste at any bar in the world or any bar in Texas. Our laws are very blue here.
Sure.
But we've been able to track down a bunch of like really, really old bottles and let people taste it. So we'll have first access to that goes to a VIP.
Right.
And then whatever makes it to the GA
To
hour.
the GA,
Yeah.
which may not be a whole lot.
May not be a whole lot, but there's still going to be a tremendous amount of whiskey in the house. So
Sure.
if you want to come and learn, you're not too sure, go for GA. If you want to, get to explore some old stuff, go to VIP. But we also send home a goodie bag, which I can't legally advertise what's in the goodie bag because of TABC, but there's a lot of delicious liquids in that bag.
You want to make sure and stay tuned. And Ashley, I want to ask you, do we have any folks that are tuning in that are telling us their favorite flavors of whiskey yet?
You have people tuning in, but they're not commenting.
That's because they want to wait to be the fifth.
They want to wait. Oh, okay. They want to wait so they can be the 5th. Okay. Before we actually say the word go so that you can comment, I want to ask you, Chris, real quick. The category... or whiskey is a category,
Sure,
right?
It's an overall umbrella.
Think of me as like the guy that absolutely. I'm a vodka drinker myself, so I don't really do whiskey. But think of me as a person that doesn't know anything, and walk me through a 30-second lesson on the basics of whiskey.
Sure. So whiskey is an overall category like cars are, right?
Okay.
Then you have specific cars, right?
Okay.
So whiskey's overall category. Then you have bourbon.
Bourbon.
Then you've got straight bourbon. Then you've got bottled and bond first, then straight bourbon. So there's just more restrictions for each level.
Okay.
And so, for instance, bourbon can be aged any amount of time and doesn't have a minimum age requirement in a new barrel.
Okay.
It can be made anywhere in the U.S. and Puerto Rico. That's it. In Washington. And then for straight bourbon, it's got to be at least 2 years old. So there's just a little bit more restrictions the more defined you get. So straight bourbon's at least 2 years old. Bottled and bond is at least 4 years old.
Okay.
There's just different categories. So.
And then what about Scotch? Is that
Scotch is 3 years in the barrel, 3 years in 1 day, and it's got to be made in Scotland.
Scotland.
Yep, 100%. Well, there's a lot of regulations. I'm giving you
the
short.
Sure,
the
the
short,
very
yeah,
right,
yeah.
absolutely. So you just talked about those 3 categories, and I think we are ready to give away a pair of tickets to the Houston Whiskey Social. This is a pair of tickets valued at $80. And when I
Actually, no, they're VIP.
What?
Yeah,
You're giving away a pair of VIP tickets? Two?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. The fifth person to comment after I say the word go is going to get a pair of those VIP tickets. I mean, these are tickets that I'm not even getting, guys. So we're doing it big right here for you on Air With Pierre. And now we are going to say go. And while we've officially said go, Ashley is looking to see who the fifth person is so that we can announce it. And Chris, when you start planning for this event, is it a year-round thing?
It's gotten smaller amount of time before as we've streamlined some things.
Right.
This last one, we got about 8 months planning, so it wasn't too bad.
And then my final question is outside of the actual event, do you do anything else year-round?
Oh, absolutely. So you mean like event-wise?
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, I do a lot of things. I run the Houston Bourbon Society with some colleagues, Randy Svetlik and Matt Phillips. And what we do is we'll get together at meetups. In fact, we're having a meetup tonight at Rosewater and Clear Lake.
Okay.
We get people together. We give them a reason for that camaraderie. We get them, have a few drinks together. We also do tasting events year round, but they're a bit, sporadic.
And then are those posted on your social media accounts as well?
You can get that at Houston Whiskey Social Facebook page. And of course, if you follow me or the Houston Bourbon Society, then you'll be able to get pretty much updated daily.
I actually remembered one more question before we announce our winner. Do we have a winner yet, by the way, Ashley?
Well, it's all of your staff comments.
Well, staff not allowed.
Yes, that's true. Peter and Hillary.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to continue letting you comment on your favorite whiskey so we can give away a pair of tickets to that great event. The question that I want to make sure that I ask while you're here is the character that you've developed.
Whiskey Pete.
Whiskey Pete. So tell me about how Whiskey Pete came about.
So he actually was the genesis of everything, right? So before the Whiskey Social, before everything everything else we've done, Whiskey Pete started it all. People have been taking photos of their food for years, right?
Okay.
And in the whiskey world, it happens. People take pictures of their bottles, and what are you drinking today? I'm drinking this, and I just thought it was a bit, not narcissistic, but a bit, everyone's always just taking. So I thought it would be more fun to have a cartoon character. He's hand drawn. He's not a Bitmoji or anything.
Who drew him?
So he's my creation, but
okay.
Tom, my friend of mine, he's an author and an illustrator. Thomas Park brought him to life. And he does most of the photos. I'll do a few as well, but I'm not great at Photoshop.
Sure.
He's a genius, Thomas Park, and he ends up being the host of the show Whiskey Neat. He's our logo. And
right.
So basically most of my photos on Instagram are usually photos of Whiskey Pete enjoying a whiskey or something. So
Instagram is such a great visual type of a platform, and I think you do a really good job of integrating the Whiskey Pete character into all of your Instagram stuff.
It created a bit of a following before I realized what it was. I mean, I think we're up to 5,600 followers isn't like super crazy, but
right.
It was pretty surprising that anyone would give two craps about a
well,
little
and it's
cartoon
also
character.
the engagement piece, right? Like if you have, even if it's 5,600, but out of those 5,600 you have a 50-60% engagement of the people that are, because it's not like fake followers or people that aren't really going to engage with your content. I think that's kind of where the
photos
gold
stolen
is.
a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you do.
That's a little bit of a boost of confidence when you see a lot of other whiskey pages kind of borrow my photos. So it's been fun. It's not about building the following. It's just about the spirit. I mean, it's so much fun when you, like I mentioned, the bottle from 1965, right? So that's a piece of history, and it's a little time capsule.
Sure.
Laporte, I think you were at the time capsule. Laporte did a time capsule a few years back.
Yes.
And the whole idea is to open this time capsule 50 years from now.
Right.
That's what a bottle of whiskey is. I know that seems kind of romantic, but
right.
The idea that you can have something that's no longer made anymore from 65 is 54 years ago? Right. So you get to crack open a bottle that's been sealed for 54 years. Do you know Jonathan Sands, Winston Churchill's great-grandson?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's done a lot in the area too. He unfortunately just passed, but he came to the second Whiskey Social, and we got to open a bottle of whiskey from World War II.
What?
When Winston Churchill was in office, right? So you get this little time capsule, and I get to have a drink with someone that has this legacy of just changing the world.
So there's some pretty expensive bottles of whiskey out there. What are some of the most expensive that you've seen, and then the most expensive one that you've actually tasted?
So I don't catalog all of them, but I'll give you an example. At the event, we're bringing in 4 different 40-year-old whiskeys. So 2 of them are 42 years old. One of them is, the other 2 are 40 years old. So you're tasting through $15,000 in whiskey. That 40. I mean, that's combined 160 years of spirits right there.
Oh my God!
So it's just this crazy. I've tasted some expensive things, but it's really just I get more satisfaction out of the old timepieces, right? The stuff. I mean, the bottle from 1965 really just had to, me tracking down overseas. I had to find Sotheby's auction house or something and grab it, but and it wasn't that expensive. But it's something that you'll never get in Texas. It's something you'll never see in a bar or a liquor store here because of our laws. And you get to come and you get to taste this little time capsule. It's just so fun to me.
Right. Chris, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk with us. And I sincerely wish you the best on your radio show. We're going to take a short commercial break. And when we come back, we'll announce the winner of our pair of tickets for the Houston Whiskey Social. And also, we're going to be talking with our friends from Communities and Schools, the Bay Area, Peter and Hillary. So stay tuned. You still have time to enter. And don't go away.
Every meeting and group event deserves to be at South Shore Harbor Resort. From extravagant to intimate, trust us to make your next business event a success. Perfectly located just 30 miles south of Houston, South Shore Harbor Resort is the largest full-service waterside resort in Southeast Texas. Mixing business with pleasure has its benefits. Our executive chef has created a delicious menu full of the best local ingredients. With upscale, casual, and poolside dining options, there is something for every appetite. Business has never been easier with such amazing choice of meeting spaces that provide a relaxed waterfront setting. Our state-of-the-art amphitheater is perfect for delivering a winning presentation. Swim, float, or paddle up to the poolside bar and enjoy the sun in our amazing 185-foot tropical oasis pool. Or take your time and lounge around in one of the beautiful private cabanas. You're going to sleep well in our luxurious, spacious, and airy rooms, furnished with plush bedding and a maritime theme. Business does not have to be all business while conferencing at South Shore Harbor Resort and Conference Center. Memories made here.
Being in the event and marketing space, looking your best is key. That's why I'm glad to be using the personal styling services of Macy's at Baybrook Mall. The services of Macy's My Stylist are complete and can offer you a personal shopper to guide you through it all. You're going to be getting the latest trends in fashion from the top brands. You'll go through a custom fitting that will allow your stylist to pull a line of options for your review. And the best part is, it's a complimentary service provided by Macy's. That's right, no charge for the service. And if fashionable trends isn't what you're looking for, you can always visit their beauty department for the latest in makeup and fragrances. So don't wait any longer and let a Macy's stylist take your look to the next level. You'll be glad you did. To schedule your appointment, call Michael Haddock at 409-370-3294 or book online at macys.com/mystylist. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to another great episode of On Air with Pierre. I have the pleasure of welcoming my friends from Communities and Schools, the Bay Area, Dr. Peter Wuenschel and Hillary Gramm. Let's please give them a welcome. How are you guys today?
I'm doing very well.
Dr. Wuenschel and Hillary, y'all have been part of Communities in Schools for quite some time now. And so for our viewers, I think I want to start off with giving you guys the opportunity to tell us a little bit about Communities in Schools.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we are part of the nation's largest in-school program serving youth. We do whatever it takes to help kids achieve in life and overcome barriers that may put them at risk of dropping out of school.
Is the dropout rate nationally or at the state level something that you guys are keen to or track or keep track of the in terms of kids that drop out from school?
Yes, that's a big piece of what we focus on.
Sure.
We do focus a lot on helping kids overcome barriers just to succeed in school, so they can be promoted. But we definitely keep track of that.
Do you understand that rate to be a rate that has increased over the last 5-10 years, or has it decreased? What does that trend look like?
It's definitely been increasing.
Okay.
But we've had some stability on it.
Sure.
Because we have programs like Communities in Schools that are operating in about 25 different states in the nation.
Sure.
And
all the more reason the importance of this organization,
Absolutely,
right? Because
yes.
of a situation that has increased that you guys need to be able to provide. And I think from the some of the research that I've been able to do is there's a lot of preventive work that you guys focus on. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so what we specifically do, we're an evidence-based program, and we have a full-time person on a school campus who meets with students who are referred to us by teachers, by principals, by parents, possibly by themselves. They may want the help, and what we do is we do an assessment, assess what the needs are to help them get more engaged in school. We bring in community members to help if they need mentoring, if they need tutoring, if they need socks, if they need shoes, if their parent needs a job. So we really bring the community into
the individuals that do they work for the school or do they work for the organization?
They work for our organization.
They work for your organization,
Correct.
And there's one for every campus.
Yes, correct.
Okay. What is that person called?
A student support specialist.
Student support specialist.
Correct.
And so that person has a lot of communication with both the school and with you guys about the people that are getting referred to the program and the people that are in potential need of receiving services from your organization. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. And the big piece of it is we do access resources in the community. We work with organizations like the Assistance League of the Bay Area.
Yes, we had them a couple weeks ago.
Okay, M.I. Lewis, Lighthouse
yes.
Christian Ministry,
yes.
Those social service agencies. But we also partner with businesses. So we have like Jacobs Engineering is one of our Adopt-a-School partners, and at the risk of excluding a lot of people, we have several businesses who have come in just to meet with kids, to be mentors to them. One person in particular, and I'll call him out just because you may have interviewed him before, is J.P. Morris from Texas Citizens Bank.
Yes. I just saw him just a couple days ago.
He's mentoring a student, and the student moved to another school.
Okay.
And he followed him over to that school.
Wow.
So we have some really good business people.
Is there an area is it just CCISD or multiple school districts? How is that set up?
For Communities in Schools Bay Area,
Okay.
we're in Clear Creek ISD and in Dickinson ISD.
Oh, okay. And there's particularly after the hurricane, I'm assuming that there was a lot of need that went not just in the schools at CCISD but also in Dickinson.
Absolutely. Dickinson. Over 80% of the homes there were impacted, and so those were 80% of our kids that we're working with in Dickinson ISD were impacted. And so, yes, that's one time when I recognized how much this community really loves to help.
Sure.
When the need comes around.
Right. Step up to the
they
call.
Absolutely did.
To be able to be there for
yes.
the community.
Yes.
What are some of the key bullet points that you perceive to be some of those obstacles that you talk about that lead someone to potentially dropping out? Is it mostly financial resources, or is it the makeup of the home? Is it that they're not being fed? Is it what are some of those key bullet points that you understand to be major blocks?
I will say that poverty is one of the major barriers. However, we do have kids who are from middle school homes whose parents may have been divorced, something traumatic happened within the families. But
Sure.
poverty tends to be a big area that we focus on.
Okay.
And children make the decision if they like school or not when they're very little. And if they're unable to make friends and keep friends and have proper social skills in the classroom, that alienation starts young, and then they become sick more often and they're not going to school.
Right.
And as the parents disengage over time and they said, I'm not going to school, okay. And then they stop even telling their parents, and then they drop
Right.
out. So it's a process that starts when they're very little. And our program is set up from elementary all the way through high school. And if we can catch them when they're younger, we can start to build their support system so they feel safe and secure to come to school.
Right.
Because children shouldn't have to worry about adult problems, sleeping on the floor, worrying
Sure.
about taking their lunch money to give to their sibling. Or,
Sure.
you guys were talking about Tide Pods earlier. That's a
Yeah.
hot commodity for us.
Right.
These children are coming to school with dirty clothes.
Mm-hmm.
We wash the clothes at the school. We are sending home Tide Pods for children to wash their clothes in sinks, because kids, these are all things that lead to that decision to not feel comfortable in school and essentially drop out.
And Hillary, I think one of the things about the perception that the public sometimes has, particularly if they're not actively involved in the education system or they have kids, is this notion that the dropout journey sort of begins in high school, right? And the reality, all of to what you just talked about, and what you just talked about, Peter, is that it doesn't. It actually starts as early as elementary, and from what I understand, there's a lot of studies and research that supports that data, that it's not a high school thing. You know, like their junior year, and they're like they've had it up to here, and they're I'm dropping out, I'm not finishing, and then you're trying to apply some last minute kind of a Hail Mary. Let's try to just get this kid pulled through, but really that starts as early as elementary.
It absolutely does, and that is part of what our program is based on. And one of the
Early
things-
intervention.
Early intervention, and what we do in the different school districts is we try to follow a feeder pattern.
Okay.
So we'll begin at an elementary school. Like we're at 2 elementary schools here in Clear Creek ISD. Those students go to Clear Creek Intermediate and then Clear Creek High School. And so because we recognize that dropping out is a process, we can follow those kids who are most at risk.
Absolutely.
And you can by the time a person's in 3rd grade, research shows that you can identify how highly they may be at risk of dropping out.
Right. And all of these growing programs obviously require access to resources. And so you guys have to also step up to the plate on the order of fundraising.
Yes.
And so we're going to take a short little commercial break. And when we come back, we are talking with Communities and Schools, Dr. Peter Wuenschel and Hillary Gramm of a great organization that has a really cool event that's coming up. And they're going to be talking to us about that. So stick around and don't move. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Every meeting and group event deserves to be at South Shore Harbor Resort. From extravagant to intimate, trust us to make your next business event a success. Perfectly located just 30 miles south of Houston, South Shore Harbor Resort is the largest full-service waterside resort in Southeast Texas. Mixing business with pleasure has its benefits. Our executive chef has created a delicious menu full of the best local ingredients. With upscale, casual, and poolside dining options, there is something for every appetite. Business has never been easier with such amazing choice of meeting spaces that provide a relaxed waterfront setting. Our state-of-the-art amphitheater is perfect for delivering a winning presentation. Swim, float, or paddle up to the poolside bar and enjoy the sun in our amazing 185-foot tropical oasis pool. Or take your time and lounge around in one of the beautiful private cabanas. You're going to sleep well in our luxurious, spacious, and airy rooms, furnished with plush bedding and a maritime theme. Business does not have to be all business while conferencing at South Shore Harbor Resort and Conference Center. Memories made here.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Do we still have some folks here in the studio? Yeah. I am talking with my good friends of Communities and Schools Bay Area, Dr. Peter Wuenschel and Hillary Gramm. Peter, the need to be able to address the needs of the community also requires resources, right?
Absolutely.
And so you guys have to also dedicate some time to be able to do some fundraising. But you do have an event that's coming up that's really cool. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. First, the person who is doing a massive amount of work for that and spends about 75% of her time on that is Hillary Gramm. And Hillary Gramm has been with me for about 9 years now.
10.
Working on 10. Okay.
10.
All right, she's
10.
been
We're
here
gonna have a
with
big
me
party
10
for
years.
that.
And she
Wow.
she has really taken this event to a really classy and high level. And so I want to let Hillary have the highlight of this
Absolutely.
event that's coming up.
Yeah, so we have the Bay Area's premier golf tournament. There are golf tournaments all over. They're kind of a dime a dozen. We are the premier tournament. We raise the most in the Clear Lake area, and it is just over the top, but done in the utmost classiest way. It's done at Bay Oaks, and in the 9 golf tournaments before this year, we've raised over $1.5 million.
Wow, in
Yeah.
one event.
Over 9 years. So
Sure.
a typical golf tournament in this community raises between $20,000 and $30,000. This year we are slated to raise $250,000
Wow.
in one day. And with this golf tournament, we have all kinds of different things happening. There's something on every hole. We feed everybody, make sure everyone has drinks, and it's just a wonderful event. While the golf tournament is occurring, we have a wine tasting called Raise Your Glass to CIS. And this is an oversold event, wait list only, sells out just within a couple of weeks. And it's a speed tasting. It's not a traditional, let's listen to someone lecture and be well behaved. It's, oh, this is a social event, so the different sommeliers come to you.
Okay.
And you can visit with your neighbor if you wish. It's very engaging. It's different than any other wine tasting in this community.
So this is sort of like an event within
Absolutely.
a
Yes.
big event.
Yes.
And that's a tall order, right? So one of the things that we've been talking about Leadercast, that we've been producing this event year after year, and then we're going multi-site this year. And so our team has been looking at us like, how are we going to be able to pull this off? Because the event simulcast live from Atlanta, and so I can't. I have to. It'll be happening at the same time, but in 2 different places. And I can't split myself in half, and so we're just thinking through that whole. But y'all have actually been running this play of an event within a mini event for a couple of years now. Have had tremendous success with it, and I think from what you talked about, Hillary, is a big part of that is to the experience that you give to your supporters that come out to the event. Right, the golfers get to have something that's put up at every hole, and then there's food and there's drinks, and it's a good time. And that's certainly what allows somebody to say, like, I'm gonna carve this out on my calendar for the following year. So it takes place at Bay Oaks. What's the date on the event?
April 15th, we have one last golf team available.
Okay.
That's it. The wine tasting is completely sold out, waitlist only. Like us on Facebook, Communities and Schools Bay Area.
Okay.
If you'd like to learn a little bit more and to get on our wait list for the wine tasting.
Perfect.
We're auctioning designer purses, which is very unique to our
Wow.
community.
Okay.
So that's something that people come just for that.
So you definitely want to make sure and get connected. Is there a website where they can also get information about all the programs?
Sure, www.cisba.org.
CISBA.org is a website where you can go and find out more information about this phenomenal organization and all the programs that they're doing to help kids stay in school. Dr. Wuenschel and Hillary, I want to thank you for coming to spend some time with me today. And we hope to, we don't hope, we are banking on having a fun time on April the 15th. I'm excited to be there. We're going to get to talk to some of your sponsors and be interviewing them live. And so for all of our viewers, be sure and get connected with them on social media so that you can catch all of the action that's happening at the golf tournament and their great event on April 15th at Bay Oaks Country Club. We want to thank all of y'all for tuning in. We are going to be posting the replays from each of the segments on our page at Top Star Events and Entertainment. And of course, we thank you so much for all the support that you've been bringing us for the last 2 months as we've launched our On Air with Pierre. Next week, you don't want to miss the show. We have a really great show. The winner of the Don't Mess with Texas program campaign is going to be with us, Whitney Lane. And then we also have our friends from Bay Area Turning Point, and we're talking with Mr. Michael Lee, franchisee of the Chick-fil-A in League City Town Center. We thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next week. Have a phenomenal week. Bye-bye.